Ever wonder what it feels like to discover you're worth less than nothing to the people who raised you? I found out on a Tuesday afternoon, and it cost me 6 years of paychecks. Let me paint you a picture. You're the daughter who shows up, the one with the career, the condo, the color-coordinated calendar. You're Janice Hall, 38, polished, and perpetually responsible. You pay your parents' property taxes like clockwork. You handle their medical bills without blinking. You're so reliable, you make Swiss watches look inconsistent. Meanwhile, your baby sister, Susie, she's 34 and still discovering herself somewhere between a failed macrame business and a juice cleanse pyramid scheme. But she's the favorite. Always has been. You've made peace with that, or so you tell yourself. Then one Saturday, while elbow deep in your mother's filing cabinet, because of course you're the one organizing their financial mess, a folder falls out. Estate planning documents. You shouldn't look. You know you shouldn't. But you do. And there, in black and white legalese, is the answer to a question you never dared to ask. What am I actually worth to them? Turns out, one line. One throwaway sentence of gratitude. While Susie gets the lakeside house, the savings, the everything. The golden child gets the gold. The workhorse gets a participation trophy. So I did what any self-respecting ATM would do when it discovers it's being retired. I shut down operations. Permanently. Before we dive into what happened next, let me ask you something. Have you ever been the responsible one in your family? The one who shows up, pays up, and shuts up, only to realize you're being taken for granted? If that hits close to home, hit that like button right now. And subscribe, because trust me, this story gets wild. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and whether you've ever dealt with the golden child situation. Turn on notifications because toxic family dynamics, we're exposing all of them. Now, back to that will. Saturday morning arrives with the kind of sunshine that makes you believe the universe has a sense of irony. I am at my parents' house by 9 a.m., coffee in hand, laptop bag over my shoulder, ready to tackle their tax season paperwork because apparently being a corporate consultant doesn't fill enough of my calendar. Dad's planted in his recliner, volume cranked on the golf tournament. Mom's fussing in the kitchen, calling out instructions I'm meant to decode telepathically. And Susie, she's in Sedona on a spiritual wellness retreat that costs more than most people's monthly rent. Funded, naturally, by a small loan from the parental bank that will never be repaid. I know this because I've seen the pattern for 34 years. But I'm not bitter. Really. The filing cabinet in Dad's office is a disaster. Decades of insurance policies, medical bills, and random receipts stuffed into folders with the organizational system of a tornado. I'm 3 hours in, covered in dust, when it happens. A manila folder slides out from behind the hanging files and lands at my feet. The label, written in Dad's precise block letters, estate plan and last will and testament. My stomach does something complicated. You know you shouldn't look. It's private. It's not your business until it's your business. But my hand reaches for it anyway, propelled by some masochistic curiosity I'll regret for the rest of my life. I tell myself I'm just making sure it's filed properly, that I'm being helpful, that I'll only glance at it. I'm an excellent liar, even to myself. The first page is standard legalese. The second page makes my coffee curdle in my stomach. By the third page, I've stopped breathing entirely. The lakeside property, the one I helped them refinance 2 years ago, goes to Susie. The savings accounts go to Susie. The investment portfolio, the family jewelry, the antique furniture Mom always promised would be divided fairly, all Susie. Page after page after page of Susie. I flip frantically, looking for my name. Surely there's something, a small bequest, a token, anything. There, bottom of page 7, one line. We are grateful to our daughter, Janice Hall, for her support over the years. Not we leave her, not we bequeath, just grateful. Like a Yelp review, like a tip line on a restaurant receipt. Thanks for the service, here's your 15%. I read it again, then a fourth time because surely I'm misunderstanding the legal language. Maybe grateful is code for something. Maybe there's an addendum, a codicil, a sticky note that fell out. There isn't. The date at the top glares at me. 6 months ago. This isn't some ancient document drafted before I started helping them. This was created last spring, after I paid for the new roof, after I covered Mom's surgery, after 6 years of mortgage payments and property taxes and grocery deliveries. They sat down with their lawyer, reviewed their assets I helped them keep, and decided I deserved 1 sentence. The folder slips from my hands. From the living room, Dad cheers at a birdie putt. Mom calls out asking if I want lunch. And something inside me, something that's been bending and bending for 6 years, finally snaps. I walk into the living room, holding the will like it's evidence at a crime scene, which, in a way, it is. Dad looks up from his golf tournament. The color drains from his face faster than my bank account has drained over the past 6 years. Honey, that's private. Private? The word comes out sharp enough to cut glass. For 6 years, I've paid your property taxes. I've covered Mom's medical bills. I had your roof replaced after the storm. And this is what I'm worth to you? A single line of gratitude? He's doing that stammering thing he does when he's been caught. It's complicated, Janice. We didn't want to cause problems between you and your sister. Problems? I almost laugh. You've left her an $800,000 estate and me a thank you note? I think the problem is already pretty well established. Mom materializes from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel, her face already arranging itself into defensive mode. She's always been good at that. Janice, you have a wonderful career, a beautiful condo downtown. You don't need our help. Susie is still struggling to find her path. She needs the security. Security? The word tastes like acid. I've been funding her pathfinding expedition for years. Every failed business, every investment opportunity, every crystal healing workshop and life coaching certification, I paid for it. Through you. That's not fair. Fair? My voice rises despite my best efforts. What's not fair is that I've given you over $200,000 and apparently bought myself 1 sentence. What's not fair is that Susie contributes nothing and inherits everything. But please, tell me more about fair. Mom's face hardens into that expression I know too well, the one that says, I'm about to become the villain in her version of events. This is exactly why we made this decision. You're selfish, Janice. You've always been selfish. Everything is about what you've done, what you've sacrificed. You keep score like it's a competition. Something happens then. Something unexpected. The anger doesn't explode. It evaporates. In its place, there's just clarity. Cold, perfect clarity. I'm not the problem here. I never was. I carefully place the will on the coffee table between us, centering it like a centerpiece. Got it. Glad to know where we stand. I turn toward the door. My purse is still in the office, but I don't care. I'll buy a new driver's license, a new credit card, whatever. I just need to leave before this clarity wavers. Janice, don't be dramatic, Dad's voice follows me. I stop at the door, my hand on the knob. When I turn back, my composure is perfect. Boardroom perfect. The same face I use when I'm terminating a contract with an underperforming vendor. Don't contact me unless it's an emergency. And an emergency is defined as something Susie can handle. After all, she's inheriting everything. She should start earning it now. You don't mean that? I absolutely do. The door closes behind me with a soft click that sounds like finality, like freedom. like the best decision I've made in 6 years. The first 2 weeks are strange. I feel lighter and heavier at the same time, like I'm simultaneously floating and drowning. But I do what needs to be done. I log into my bank account and cancel the automatic payment to their mortgage company, delete the recurring grocery delivery, remove my credit card from their utility accounts. Each click feels like cutting a rope that's been strangling me for 6 years. My assistant asks why I seem different. I tell her I've taken up meditation. It's easier than explaining I finally stopped funding my own irrelevance. Then, on a Tuesday, because apparently Tuesdays are my designated day for family betrayal, my phone buzzes. Dad. The quarterly property taxes are due, $4,200. Can you handle it this week? I stare at the message. No, how are you? No, we should talk. Not even a please. Just an invoice. A bill from the family ATM expecting prompt payment as usual. My thumbs hover over the keyboard. I could ignore it, but where's the fun in that? Me. I'm sure Susie will handle it since the property is going to be hers and all. I set the phone down and return to my laptop. 3 minutes later, it starts vibrating like it's having a seizure. Mom. Janice Hall, this is unacceptable. Your father and I are on a fixed income. You know we can't afford this. The full name. I'm in trouble now. I'm 38 years old and being scolded like I forgot to clean my room. Me. Then I suggest you speak with your primary beneficiary about her responsibilities. Dad. You're being childish. Me. I'm being clear. You made your choice in the will. I'm respecting that choice. There's a pause. I can practically hear the frantic phone call between them. The emergency summit. The what do we do now panic. Then Susie enters the chat. Seriously, Jay? You're really going to throw a tantrum over some paperwork? Mom and Dad need help now. Stop being such a drama queen. I read it twice, then a third time, marveling at the sheer audacity. The woman who hasn't contributed a dime in 6 years is calling me a drama queen. The woman who's inheriting everything is lecturing me about family responsibility. It's almost beautiful in its delusion. I could respond. I could explain, again, that I've given them $200,000 while she's given them nothing but excuses and expense reports. I could detail every payment, every sacrifice, every time I said no to my own life so I could fund theirs. But here's what I've learned in 2 weeks of silence. Explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you is like trying to teach philosophy to a brick wall. Technically possible, but ultimately pointless. Instead, I do something that feels better than any argument could. I block all 3 numbers. Then I pour myself a glass of wine, the expensive kind I usually save for special occasions. Tonight feels special. Tonight feels like the first day of the rest of my life. The silence that follows is absolutely delicious. Blocking their numbers turns out to be adorably naive on my part, like thinking you can stop a flood with a paper towel. They switch to email. When I filter those to spam, they create new email addresses with increasingly desperate names. Dad Urgent 2024 at Gmail. Mom Please Read at Yahoo. I'd admire the persistence if it weren't so pathetic. Then my phone buzzes with a Venmo request. $5,800. From Dad. The note reads, "Payment overdue. Bank is threatening foreclosure procedures." He's trying to shame me via payment app. We've reached new lows. I decline it with a satisfaction that probably says terrible things about my character. 2 hours later, an email arrives from yet another new address. Subject line, urgent, your parents' future. All caps because subtlety has left the building. I shouldn't open it. I know I shouldn't. But it's like watching a car crash, horrifying and impossible to look away from. I never thought I'd see the day when my own daughter would let her parents become homeless. Your father's health is declining. The stress of this financial situation is making everything worse. The doctor says his blood pressure is dangerously high. Is this really who you are? Is money more important than your own parents' lives? It's pure manipulation, expertly crafted. She's always been good at this. The guilt, the dramatics, the suggestion that I'm essentially committing murder by not paying their bills. The old Janice would have cracked, would have transferred the money while apologizing for being difficult. The new Janice opens a folder on her desktop labeled Documentation. I start screenshotting everything. Every email, every Venmo request, every guilt trip text from the new numbers they keep calling from. I pull bank statements showing 6 years of payments. I organize it all chronologically like I'm building a case. Because maybe I am. Friday afternoon arrives with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. I'm in my office preparing for a major client presentation when my assistant's voice comes through the intercom. She sounds uncomfortable. Janice, there are people here to see you. They say they're your parents. They don't have an appointment. My jaw clenches so hard I might crack a molar. Of course they'd come here. Of course they'd bring this to my workplace, because showing up at my condo can be ignored, but showing up at my office? That's a hostage situation. I walk to reception, my heels clicking against the marble floor like a countdown. And there they are. Mom with tears already streaming down her face. Impressive, she must have started in the elevator. Dad looking uncomfortable in his weekend khakis, clearly the unwilling accomplice. And Susie, wearing righteousness like it's designer armor, arms crossed, chin up. "We need to talk," Mom announces, her voice carrying across the reception area like she's performing for an audience, which technically she is. In private. Every eye in the office swivels toward us. My colleagues, my clients in the waiting area, the intern who started last week. All of them watching professional, polished Janice Hall's personal disaster unfold in high definition. My face burns, but my voice stays steady. "Conference room 2. I gesture them forward, my smile perfectly professional, like I'm escorting clients instead of the 3 people currently destroying my life. The door closes behind us with a click that sounds like a trap snapping shut. Dad opens with the rational approach, his tone the same one he used when I was 16 and missed curfew. "Janice, be reasonable. We're a family. Families help each other." "You're absolutely right," I say, my voice calm as still water. Families do help each other, which is why I'm confused about why the family member inheriting $800,000 worth of property isn't helping you right now. Susie rolls her eyes so hard, I'm surprised they don't fall out of her head. "That's not for years, and you know it. You're being petty." "Petty?" Something in my composure cracks just slightly. "I have bank statements showing I've given you all over $200,000 in the past 6 years. Susie, how much have you contributed?" She doesn't miss a beat. "I've been there emotionally while I paid the bills." "Got it." Mom's face flushes red. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You reduce everything to money. Some things are more valuable than your precious bank statements. Like a will that reduces me to a single sentence." The silence that follows could cut diamonds. Dad tries one more time. "Janice, please, we're asking for help." "No, you're demanding money. There's a difference." I stand, smoothing my dress. "This meeting is over. I have a client presentation in 15 minutes. Mom rises, her voice climbing to that pitch that carries. "You've changed, Janice. Success has made you cruel." I show them out through the reception area, acutely aware of every stare, every whispered question. My assistant avoids eye contact. The intern looks fascinated. Professional, perfect Janice just escorted her crying mother out of the building. The client presentation goes terribly, but I survive it. That night, I pour a generous glass of wine and collapse on my couch, scrolling through social media to decompress. Mindless scrolling, celebrity gossip, friend updates, cute dog videos. Then I see it. My mother's Facebook post. Public. Already shared 43 times in 2 hours. Heartbroken doesn't even begin to describe what I'm feeling tonight. After everything we've done for our daughter, after raising her with love and values, she's abandoned us in our time of need. She has more money than she could ever spend, but she won't spare a dime to help her elderly parents keep their home. I don't recognize the person she's become. Please keep us in your prayers as we navigate this painful betrayal. Hashtag family first, hashtag heartbroken, hashtag elder abuse. My hands start shaking. The comments pour in like poison. Aunt Carol, I always knew that girl was cold. A former neighbor? Disgusting behavior. Elder abuse is a crime. Random strangers. Some people forget where they came from. Money changes people. This generation has no respect. 57 comments, 64 shares, growing by the minute. My professional reputation, my character, my entire identity, reduced to a villain in my mother's public performance. She's turned our private family matter into a viral morality play, and I'm the monster. My phone buzzes, a text from a colleague who saw the post. Is everything okay? Then another, from a client who's friends with my mother on Facebook. Janice, I saw something concerning online. My wine glass trembles in my hand. She's not just attacking me. She's attempting to destroy me. Publicly, strategically, with hashtags. I set down my wine and open my laptop. If she wants to make this public, we'll make it public. But this time, we're telling the whole truth. I don't sleep. I spend the night writing, fueled by wine and righteous fury and 6 years of receipts. This isn't a response. It's a reckoning. At 6 a.m., when the sunrise turns my condo windows gold, I post it to my Facebook account. Public setting, deep breath, publish. I've debated whether to address this publicly, but since my personal life has been made a public spectacle, here's the full truth. For 6 years, I have financially supported my parents. Here are the facts. $67,000 in property taxes, receipts attached. $54,000 in medical expenses, EOBs attached. $48,000 in home repairs, contractor invoices attached. $31,000 in monthly expense assistance, bank transfers attached. Total, over $200,000. My sister's contribution in that same period? $0. Last month, while helping organize documents, I discovered my parents' will. Despite 6 years of financial support, I have been left nothing. Everything, the house, savings, investments, goes to my sister, who has contributed nothing. When I confronted them, I was told I'm too successful to need an inheritance and that my sister needs the security. When I stopped providing financial support, I was called selfish, childish, and cruel. Yesterday, my parents and sister ambushed me at my workplace. Last night, my mother posted accusing me of elder abuse and abandonment. I have never abandoned anyone. I simply stopped being a bank account for people who legally documented that I have no value to them beyond my wallet. I'm sharing this not for sympathy, but for truth. And for anyone else who's been made to feel guilty for setting boundaries, you are not selfish for refusing to be exploited. You are not cruel for demanding to be valued. You are not wrong for walking away from people who only love what you provide, not who you are. To my family, I wish you well, truly, but I'm done being your ATM. Susie will inherit everything so she can start contributing now. I'm blocking you all after posting this. Please respect that boundary. I attach every receipt, every bank statement, every piece of evidence I spent the night organizing. Then I set my phone face down and take a shower. By the time I emerge, my phone is having a meltdown. The post has been shared 200 times, 500 comments, 1,000 reactions. The numbers keep climbing like a rocket. The comments flood in, not vicious this time, but validating. This happened to me too. Good for you for standing up for yourself. Your parents should be ashamed. Distant relatives I haven't spoken to in years message with their own stories of being exploited by family. Friends from college reach out. Even some of Mom's friends comment. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. My mother calls 17 times in 30 minutes. I watch the notifications roll in, feeling nothing. Susie leaves a voicemail. I play it on speaker while making coffee. She's screaming. Actually screaming about how I've ruined everything, and I'm a traitor, and the whole family hates you now. Good, I think. The feeling is mutual. Dad sends a final email. Subject line blank, message brief. You've destroyed this family. I read it twice. Then I block his email address. I block Mom's number, all 17 numbers she's called from, Susie's number, their email addresses, their social media accounts, every connection, every thread, every possible way they could reach me, gone. It takes 15 minutes to erase them completely from my digital life. It should feel dramatic. It should feel devastating. Instead, it feels like finally taking off shoes that were 2 sizes too small. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in my condo with a glass of wine, watching the sunset paint the lake outside my window, in shades of gold and rose. My phone is blissfully quiet. My bank account is mine again. My time is mine again. And I realize something profound. I don't miss them. The guilt that's followed me for 38 years? Gone. The desperate need for their approval? Vanished. The voice in my head that said I wasn't doing enough, being enough, giving enough? Silent. I'm not free because I have my money back. I'm free because I finally understand I was never poor in the ways that matter. I was just loving people who mistook me for a cash register. Never again. So here's my question for you. Was I wrong? Should I have kept paying? Or did my parents and Susie get exactly what they deserved? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. I can handle it. If you think I did the right thing, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about people who finally chose themselves. And if you've got your own family ATM story, share it below. Sometimes the best revenge is knowing you're not alone. Hit that notification bell because we're done being doormats around here.